to Simpler. We are three pastors, husbands, and fathers on a journey to make life simpler by holding Jesus as the core for every belief and practice. This journey has shaped us to be more like Christ, freed us from the shame of failure, and encouraged us to a deeper love of our Lord and God. We invite you to join us in the discussions that have shaped and continue to shape our lives.
When I came back from India, I was so sick, and my poop was like green soft serve ice cream.
Gosh, man.
Micah.
A big drink too.
That almost went everywhere.
And so I didn't have an apartment at the time. I was a couple of weeks before my lease was going to start again because I'd been gone for 2 months.
Right.
So I was staying with my buddy Roger, who lived about 15 minutes outside of town. And I had to poop in a cup. And the doctor gave it to me that day and said, yeah, just come back in, drop it off in the morning. So I pooped in the cup and I put it in his fridge.
Oh, gosh.
Because I had to stay cold. And it's the screw-on lid.
Right.
And this is Lubbock,
No
Texas.
stickers or anything. It's just a cup with a lid.
Well, it's the
Is it
screw-on
clear?
plastic cup.
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know?
Is it clear?
Yeah. But I put it in a brown paper bag just to hide the contents.
Not like a Ziploc bag?
We put it in a Ziploc bag, wrapped it in foil, and then put it in a brown paper
right.
bag so that
Put
it couldn't,
chains around it.
yeah, couldn't contaminate anything else.
Oh, it gets so contaminated.
Oh, you opened the fridge and you're like,
Oh.
because I was so sick. And so we're driving back
I would've
into
just said
town
no.
to drop it off.
I would have bought a mini fridge.
That's right.
To throw away. We're driving back in town to drop it off. And in Lubbock, a lot of times when the wind blows a certain way, you smell the stockyards. And he goes, dude, I want to smell the stockyards.
Yeah.
He's rolling down the window to smell the stockyards.
It's a good friend, man.
I was so sick.
Ugh.
Lost 40 pounds in 7 weeks. I was sick.
The new commercial is not Ozempic.
That's
It's
what I'm saying. Yeah.
Giardia.
Visit India.
Drink this water, and in 3 weeks, you'll start losing weight.
Kirsten and I'll create a jingle just for that.
That's right. Yeah.
Oh, man.
Oh man. We're not talking about that crazy story today, Ryan.
It took me
We'll
like
get
a year to gain my weight back.
It's fifth Tuesday in June. So what we normally do on Fifth Tuesdays is we pick a topic where we haven't necessarily mapped out a simple review or a conversation we haven't necessarily had before, and we just jump into a topic and we work through it together. So it's a fun thing for everybody listening and watching to be able to kind of see, I don't know, behind the curtain, just see more of like a raw conversation than like a planned out conversation right now.
Yep.
Obviously other
Which
conversations.
is probably most of our
I
conversations.
was going to say
anyways. I think
of,
it used to be more planned. It's like less now.
I feel like there's plenty of episodes where we go like, well, wait, and then have more of a new conversation in the moment. But that being said, we
This
still
is
keep
basically
up
just
with
something
Fifth
we
Tuesdays.
haven't talked about before or haven't talked much about before.
Right. So what is today's topic, Ryan?
The idea is kind of apathy, being apathetic, being kind of like, just like, oh, I don't care. And I want to talk about it from several perspectives. This is something I was talking with my boys about recently, which is part of the reason it's been in my head. Obviously, the thing that is most important in life is knowing and honoring Jesus. But I remind my boys that that's not going to just come by accident. Like that's something that we pursue. That's something that you desire. It's something that you move forward in. And I say frequently in our house, not often, a few times a year, I just remind our boys that nothing comes by accident. Like if a body lays dormant, if you just lay dormant, then your muscles atrophy. You become weaker. So the only thing that you become by inactivity is weaker. So whether that's spiritually, mentally, if it's with your finances, if it's with your character, you know, like I want to be, this is also something I've been kind of thinking about lately. Like, how do I take better care of my body? How do I take better care of my time? How do I come to know the Bible better? And all of those things require me to do something other than just be like, whatever. You know, like there's something that's required of me to move forward. And so I believe, though, that if we rightly understand who we are in Christ, We talked about this in a way a couple of months ago when we said to live as Christ, to die as gain. We're quoting Paul from Philippians. That the reason most people don't view to die as gain, the reason that most Christians don't view death as gain is because their life isn't lived for Jesus.
Right.
If their life was lived for Jesus, then they would consider death gain. And you can go back and listen to that podcast. But I would argue similarly.
You mean the purpose of their life, not their life lived?
Say it again.
You mean the purpose of their life is the glory of Jesus, not a life lived for the glory of Jesus?
Yeah.
I think it's an important
Distinction.
because of where this conversation is probably going.
Yes. So our lives are for the glory of God. Is that what you're saying?
Yep.
Yeah. Better way to say it. So
The way you said it makes it sound like that they did a good job all these years.
Gotcha. So to the Philippians 1 part.
You said you think the reason that their perspective of death is that death isn't gain is because you said it's because their life wasn't lived for the glory of, or they didn't live
for the glory of God.
I'm with you in what you mean, but it's,
Yeah.
I just want people to understand what you actually mean is not that they did the right things through their life. It's that their perspective was that their life was for the glory of God.
Yeah. If you have the perspective that my life is for the glory of God, then you also have the perspective that death is gain.
Yes.
Yeah. So if we have the perspective that my life is for the glory of God, we will actively be pursuing things that cause us to know and enjoy God more. And my feeling, this is just my feeling, which is why it's the Fifth Tuesday, but my feeling is if my perspective of life is I have this many years to live for the glory of God, then that keeps me from being apathetic in other areas of my life.
Wait, explain the years thing.
So I know I'm not going to die. Well, I don't know that I'm not going to die tomorrow. But I'm well more than halfway through my life. And I
Man, that must suck.
but I mean, okay, but like I think about that.
I mean, like what I think what I'm saying is like, if you knew you were going to die in 10 years and you knew you were going to die tomorrow, what changes about your day to day?
That's my point. If my perspective about Christ is correct, then nothing should change.
Right, which is why that's why I was asking. So you probably didn't mean that.
All right.
With the years I have left, it's kind of what you were saying. Like I have a short amount of time. I don't think that's the right perspective.
No, agreed. Because that implies that I'm shifting something now because I've only got a few years left.
Right.
Wrong approach. That's not what I mean to say. So thank you. So if we let's back up. If our perspective is God has given me 70 to 80 years on this earth,
right,
and it is for the purpose of glorifying Him, if I am driven in my pursuit of honoring Jesus, I want to honor Jesus. I think we also want to honor Jesus in the things that we would say, like in our bodies, in our minds, in our character.
Can we back
in
up
our
a little
finances?
bit?
Yeah, please.
I still don't think I like the 70 or 80.
I'm just quoting
I know,
Psalm 90.
but like I don't think that that's the implication of that text. I think you're like,
okay, go.
If God said you have one day to live, I don't think it changes versus me having 80 years to live.
Agreed.
So again, I don't think that's what you mean, but it sounds like what you're saying is like, we've been given this time on earth. I don't know if I don't think that's Paul's implication. He's saying while I'm here, this is how I live.
Okay, I like it.
When I die, this is what I gain.
So
it's not that God has given me this time.
So no regard for time.
That's my thought, is like it's just regard for the glory of God.
I like it.
Right.
So, sorry. Yes, regard for time, but no regard for quantity. I have this time.
That it exists.
Yeah.
Not that this, I think maybe my struggle is like, I don't think that Paul's elevating this life over the death.
Agreed.
Right? And so I think most people would take it as if you're like, God's giving you this time on earth. It's as if this has some special value over what you gain in death.
Gotcha. Yeah. No, I would disagree with that perspective for sure. So
what you're after is you're here.
Yeah.
You're
Glorify
here in
Jesus.
this life. What Paul's saying is you're here in this life, so live for the glory of Jesus.
Right. And I don't believe, so this is my starting point. I don't believe that happens accidentally. I believe that you have to be intentional about glorifying God.
Okay.
Right.
I actually think we were talking about this on the way up here. I think you and I we're probably not going to disagree, but I think we do disagree right now.
Okay.
I think
because rely on the Spirit.
Well, no. I think that. All right, let's go to Philippians 3. I get to say this. One of my favorite passages in the Bible.
Nice, cool. All of yours are the favorite.
It is right. What Paul says in Philippians 3, verse 7 is but what I used to count as gain.
Mhm.
And he gives the list of gain in like
Sure.
verses 4, 5, and 6, like all the accolades that used to be him.
Sure.
All the things that he used to consider gain, he now counts as loss.
Yep.
Why? Because of the surpassing worth of knowing Christ Jesus. So it is the shift in a perspective of value
Mhm.
that has to happen before the effort.
Mhm. Agreed.
So that's where I think that you actually disagree with your initial statement. I
Okay,
think,
what was my statement?
or let me add
Tweak
it,
it.
maybe not disagree. I think you're missing a step.
Okay, good.
I don't think you can put the effort in to living a life for the glory of Jesus, is what you're saying,
Yeah.
without the value perspective change.
because ultimately then that would become a law-based perspective.
Yes. Or let's take Christianity out of it for a second.
Okay.
If someone says, I want to get in shape, but they don't ever do anything about it, what
Right.
I would say to them is not that you suck at your discipline. I would say you don't actually care about getting in shape.
Right. You don't actually
That's the
value that.
value perspective
Agreed.
shift.
Mhm.
That's what I'm saying, I think, is what Paul's saying in Philippians 3 is,
Agreed.
for him, it wasn't that the accolades meant nothing. It's that, like when he had the accolades, it's
Right.
not that they didn't have any value on earth. Like I always mention this when I teach that text, his list didn't change of the accolades.
Right.
It's not even that those things didn't have some kind of like impact in who he was today.
Right. Sure.
The shift was he realized that they had no value compared to Jesus.
Agreed.
Mhm.
So that's the difference is
Yeah.
like, it's not that he didn't put the right effort in to come to the place where he was like, Jesus is better. It was when
Yeah.
he just this is what I mean by the initial step. Before the effort,
Mm-hmm.
if you don't actually believe Jesus is better, the effort means nothing.
Correct. And eventually the effort will fail you.
Yeah.
Right.
Because you don't actually believe Christ is worth it.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I like it. So let's back up. Okay. The first thing, the most important thing before we get into physicality, finances, all this other stuff, the most important thing is knowing and honoring Jesus.
Mhm.
That's it. And when we rightly value Jesus, I don't see how it doesn't drive you forward,
Yes.
which is a little bit of the phone call from you and I talked about from camp a few weeks ago when you had a question and I was like, it could be that there are actually way fewer Christians than we're actually talking about because how do you be a Christian and not desire Jesus, right? But shelf that for now. We can talk about that on our next Fifth Tuesday. But if you value Christ rightly, the result will be that you desire him.
Yes.
And then that desire will cultivate actions in your life that cause you to know and enjoy him more, whether it's worshiping with a group of believers, prayer. We talked about prayer a lot last week with community, prayer with other believers, studying the scripture, reading things, listening to things that help facilitate your understanding of who God is. Like your value system that he is the most important thing will cultivate actions that are reciprocal or in response to that value system.
I think this is what Jesus means. Obviously, he has a specific context for this, but when he says in Matthew, where your treasure is, there your heart will be also.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's the same idea.
Yeah.
Like if someone's like, I want to
It's not far off from what we're talking about because in Matthew, what he's alluding to is the Pharisees who are doing things to be approved of men and the people who are doing things for the glory of God. And so he says, where your treasure is where your heart is.
Right.
Yeah. So there are people who are doing this because, man, I want to know God. I want to glorify God.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's like in another context, people are like, I'd love to like build some wealth in my life. Like, but you're not, this is actually what you were trying to get at a second ago.
Go.
You're not, there's nothing in your life that you're doing to move that direction. I think how a lot of people attack that situation is say, all right, then you need to be disciplined at these things. I think where I disagree with that is not disagree with it, but I think it doesn't work if the premise isn't the value change.
Sure.
If someone says, I want to build wealth and nothing happens, then what I actually think is you don't actually want to build wealth.
Yeah.
There's something else that you actually want. You want temporary pleasure now, or you want instant gratification, those kind of things. Fine, then acknowledge that.
Yeah.
Someone's like, I want to grow spiritually. But nothing's happening. I would say you don't actually want to grow spirit. Like the value isn't there. I think what Jesus is saying is whatever you treasure, where your value lies, that's where your heart will be drawn. And I think that at the core of this conversation is not that people suck at discipline, although that is probably the case. It's that the value is not in the right thing. Because when the value is there, that's what you, that's to your point, that's what you do. Now, I think on building on that premise, now we can talk about some practical things like, all right, my value's Jesus. So how does that play out in these other aspects of my life? Because I think where people could disagree, I think it'd be fine for them to disagree, is like, for example, what does that look like as a Christian in terms of like growing wealth or taking care of my body or those kind of things? Those are debatable topics, right? In terms of like what that looks like for each person. But what's not debatable is that you either value Jesus or you value the world.
Yeah. Well, one of the things that maybe this is something I've said for a few years, and maybe it fits in exactly with what you're saying, is we always choose the thing that pleases us most. I truly believe that. Whatever pleases us most has our attention, right? So I always give the example, because this is usually a conversation I'm having with young people. And so I'll give the example of if a young man has a date night planned with his girlfriend and his parents say, if you don't mow the lawn, you're not going on to prom or whatever. Then even if he hates mowing the lawn, because he likes prom more, he'll mow the lawn. So your pleasure determines your actions. And to your point, if you're pleased in God, that determines your actions. And so for me, I like this conversation because it's going to help me with language in the future. One of the things that I find continuously frustrating is it's people of all age, but I'm thinking of people around my age who have quit learning. They just don't educate themselves on anything. It is amazing to me how many people my age and a little bit older are fooled by AI videos now or different things, and they'll post it and they'll be like, can you believe this? This really happened. And you're like,
did you see that great white shark do that thing? He ran across the beach.
Just visually, there's something in the video that you're like, this feels too perfect, or it feels too, or the guy had a foot as his hand. Or, I mean, like, there's something that's just off, and it amazes me how many people don't see it. And I'm going, they're clearly not educated. They're not growing themselves, right? There are people who have conversations, who are incapable of having conversations about the state of the world or different economic things because they don't even know a little bit what's going on in the world. Now, I don't know economy stuff, economics like you do, Micah, but I will
have the conversation.
Well, I can sit there and listen, and I can add some stuff from time to time.
Well, you would at least, like, if you sat and listened for a day to a bunch of people talk about that, you would formulate some thoughts and opinions.
And so I just think that I always find it so sad that people just finish school, finish their formal education, and then quit being educated. And I think for me, I have a brain in my head. I want to know things. I want to understand things.
I actually think that's a value system.
Right.
What you're expressing is the value system.
Right. Well,
shift.
I'm agreeing with you, and I'm bringing it to that. Right. Like, but for me, my first value is Christ. And so I don't want to be uneducated in the things of Christ.
Right.
And so there's a trickle down that if I don't want to be uneducated in the eternal things, I'm living in this temporal world as well. Why would I want to be uneducated in this world that I'm walking in trying to honor the Lord? It requires me, like, I read literature, I read articles that come up.
Literature.
It's great, man. And then a buddy of mine, Ryan Layden, it was super funny. And maybe I misunderstood him, but when I was up there preaching a couple of months ago, he said, man, you need to read this book. It's called What is a Gospel? And it's by some guy's name that I can't remember right now. And he goes, it's about what is a gospel? How do we read the Gospels? And I was like, oh yeah, that sounds great. So I got online and ordered it. Well, a few days after I got back from visiting him, it came in the mail, and I sent him a picture. I was like, looking forward to starting this. He goes, oh man, I've always wanted to read that. I'll order it too, so we can read it together. And my guess is that, because he has like a couple of master's degrees in seminary and stuff, my guess is at some point it's a book he encountered and had read excerpts from it, but maybe he's never been all the way through it, or hadn't read it in years or something like that. But we're both reading it together now and having phone calls and kind of talking through the book. Well, it's a really interesting book that just talks about the genre of the Gospels and how do we understand the Gospels from this specific genre and blah, blah, blah. It's not the kind of book that most people are going to want to read. But for me, I want to be able to think about those things. And so I want to be educated. For me, I want to be able to be, we have had, when I say we, Michelle and I, and then also my boys, we have had so many people bless us through the years financially. And there were points in ministry, you know this, Micah, because you were there too. There were points in ministry that the only reason we made it was from the generosity of people like the Carters or whatever. Like, that's the only reason we made it, you know? And we want to be at a place where we can be generous like that to other people, which requires us to have a value system of money that doesn't mean we just spend it however we want to spend it. We have a perspective for it.
Right.
That's
That's the practical outplaying. What you just expressed, I think, is this entire conversation.
Good.
There's a value system at the core of what you just said.
Yeah.
Of like wanting to be able to bless other people too.
Yeah.
That value system now informs
everything
how
else.
you move forward.
Right.
The on top of that or secondary conversation to that is, what does it then look like for you to not spend as much now and put that money away in investments? That's the side conversation, right? Of like, what's the best way to do that?
But unless the value has changed, the practical doesn't have any impact.
And that's what I meant earlier. I think the debates I think they're great in amongst the wisdom part of the conversation. Like, how do you grow that wealth the best? Or how do you take care of your body the best? I think the debates are fantastic there.
Sure.
I think that's not where most people are. I think most people are trying to jump the value step. They're trying to say, you know what? I want to be a better husband. So I'm going to lock down and like do all these steps and be really disciplined at these things to be a better husband. I think those are good things probably.
Yeah.
I think they don't make any difference if your value system is not what it needs to be. Does that make sense? Like,
for sure.
You're going to be spinning your wheels because you're going to go through the motions, not realizing like it's pointless.
Well, so like
it's pointless without the value system changing.
No, you're right, because there's no longevity in it. You'll do it for 6 months and then you'll bail because you're doing it because some cultural norm or whatever has told you should, and you're like, okay, I guess I will. But unless your value changes, because as an example, money and time. There will be things, because you can flip houses and you can fix houses and you can do whatever. Like, you can do, you're more capable in that area, right? And
I
so
just hate it.
So there are some things where you're like, okay, this is something I need to do. It'll save a lot of money. And then there are some things that you're like, I'd rather spend the money here because I need my time. My time is more valuable. So your value system in that moment will determine whether you do the work or whether you pay somebody to do the work.
Yep.
I want to paint a couple of really large paintings, like 8 to 10 foot canvas.
Like in your dream about my living room the other day?
Yes. So
apparently I had this like giant painting in his dream in my living room.
Yeah. You had art everywhere.
It wasn't a dream. It was foreshadowing.
I know. I can't wait. But I want to do some 8 foot, 10 foot canvases, like 5, like you can go to the store right now and buy a 5 foot canvas, a 4 foot by 5 foot. I want 5 foot to be the short edge. And I want it to be like 5 by 10 or a 4 by 8, something like that. Well, I'm going to have to build those. So at staff meeting last week, when you were at camp, I was talking to Gabe and Kyle about that. And they're like, oh, we could totally do that. And using Micah's stuff, like we could knock that out, man.
I love how they just volunteer my stuff.
They're like, yeah, he's got
he's
a
the
wood
only guy
shop.
with the tools.
Yeah. They're like, no, we could totally do that.
They could do that without my tools.
Right. And then
They're
one of
both good enough to
one
do
of the
that.
things that was funny was Kyle was like, man, that'd be great. And I was like, well, I have to probably just build it up at the studio. We can just build them up at my studio. And he goes, that'll be great. And we can all work
How
together.
do you get
and
it
do
out of the door after you build it?
Well, a 5 foot edge.
Oh,
You
that's
can walk
true.
out the
Okay,
door.
okay.
Yeah.
Just like an 8 foot.
Yeah.
But
But
a longer distance.
not the wall out.
How can you walk 10 feet?
Yeah. But what was funny is Kyle was like, man, that'll be fun. It'll be fun to help you build those. I was like, no. I need you guys to build them.
I can't build it. Yeah.
I will pay you to build them. And he goes, yeah, but it'd be cool for you to learn too. And in my head, I'm thinking, I only have a day and a half a week in the studio. While y'all are building that, I need to be painting
You're
something
like,
else.
I don't need to learn this.
Yeah. I'm happy to pay you guys. For
Yeah.
me, the value system is I can pay you guys to build it.
Right.
We can all hang out and talk while I'm painting, but I need to be creating something that's paying for this build. So, you know what I mean? And so our value system shapes that. I have, for the first time in my adult life, I have just hit the 18-month mark of being consistent with my workouts. I have never, ever done that before. I've been consistent in the past for like 4 months and then take 4 months off and then I'll be consistent for 4 months again. So I've been really consistent. I'm feeling better. I'm sleeping better. My knees don't hurt as much. Like I can see some benefits. My body hasn't changed a lot, but like just my overall health, I feel better. My VO2 I'm utilizing oxygen better. Like, there's been some things that have been some markers. I'm doing all of that because I don't know, because I want to be capable of whatever God calls me to do. Like, does that make sense?
For you.
For me.
Yep.
Like,
you don't want to be, maybe what you mean is like, you don't want to be hindered.
Yeah.
If there's something that calls you to do, you don't want to be hindered by the possibility of not being able to do that thing.
So I want to be able to teach and preach as long as I am able. And I know that my body can fail me and my mind can stay strong, but like I am trying to put myself in the best position to be as effective as I can be for as long as I can be.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yep.
Because, well, for one, I really enjoy my wife. I really enjoy my kids. I enjoy the ministry that God's called me to do. And I want to keep enjoying that. My mom, she's about to be 71 and she just went.
We want to come back to that in a second after your mom's story.
Okay. She's about to be 71 tomorrow, in fact. And she and my sister Lisa went to Costa Rica the week before my family did. And she's out there doing.
Same van driver?
No, but they roughed it. We stayed in resorts. They did like a 5-hour hike into the jungle and stayed at this like park ranger station and all this kind of stuff.
Man.
And yeah, right. But my mom has really for the last few years been trying to be more active.
Yeah.
Well, let's call her 71 because she's got another day. But I know like 71-year-olds, I'm not talking about some sort of chronic disease that somebody's had or an accident that somebody's had, but I know other 71-year-olds who weren't trying to take care of themselves and now they barely can.
Right.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so all that could happen to me. That could happen to me. But I am trying to make the most of my.
Yep. I'm 100% with you. I wanted to go back to it because I think that people might misconstrue what you said.
Fix it.
No, I'm not fixing what you said. I think I just want to clarify because I think people might assume that and misconstrue what you said, that like if you're not in physical good shape enough, then you're not going to be able to enjoy your wife and you're not going to be able to enjoy your kids.
No, yeah, absolutely.
Which is the opposite of what you said. So like what you mean is in the state you're in now, you haven't had an accident that keeps you from that. You haven't had some chronic disease that keeps
which
you
is
from
possible.
That. Where you're at now, if you want to continue to do active things with your boys, if you want to take trips like that, if you want to take them hiking through the jungle in Costa Rica, if you want to do those things, then it is important for you to your value system in your state. That's why I said for you, right? This isn't, not everybody's in this place, right?
And it's not a law and it's not biblical.
This
and
is
it's
where
not,
the debate can happen, right?
Yeah.
For Ryan Dalgliesh to be able to do the things in life you want to do with your family, it is better done.
Yeah.
The better shape you're in.
Yeah.
So I think everybody could have that example, what you're expressing. And I think what people are going to get too bogged down with the physical part. What you said was, and this is what I mean, I think everybody misses this in these conversations. The value for you is the time with your family.
Yeah. Well, we just had this great trip in Costa Rica. I would love for when my boys are married and their kids are teenagers to go back and be able to do all those things that I just did with my kids and their spouses and their kids.
Right.
Like, but
people,
that's going to require me to do something now. Here's my thing: finances, health, character, like your cognition, your spiritual life. If you don't make a plan for where you want to be, and the general rule is like 5 years, 10 years. If you don't make a plan, then all of those things atrophy.
Yes. Okay. So let's go that way. All right, so let's lay a foundation so everybody understands where we're at. The foundation is the value system. We've agreed on that. The value system has to be first. Because then after that, now you can talk about the other things. Because you're right. If you stop working out, your muscles will start to atrophy.
Yeah.
Let's talk about golf or disc golf for a second. The moment you stop practicing your short game, like for even just a little bit, you're toast, right? You're going to get like crazy high scores because it's the same atrophy. Like you may have been a phenomenal putter for 30 years and then you don't putt for a little while. And then it's like, I don't know where that went. It's everything atrophies. Like so you did good at working out for 4 months and then you don't work out for 4 months. It's like you're starting all over again because
every year it was that way.
Right.
Yeah.
So your point's correct. And I think people miss it. Like here's what I think happens. I think people love the idea of where they want to go.
Yes.
And I love that. I think it's like the dream is fantastic. Like be in love with the direction you want to go. If that's actually what you love, to your point, then you're going to put things in place to move forward. So, so like Kyle, for example, Kyle's going to get, well, let's put Kyle out of it because Kyle actually doesn't care as much as other people do. But like some people give me crap like, well, if you really cared, you'd stop drinking Dr. Pepper. And I'm like, well, if you really cared about me, you would never say that again.
Yeah.
You were my friend.
They're not wrong. You know what I mean? Like, all right. So if I was like, I've set a couple goals for the next, I'll make it clear here now because I preached at a camp a few weeks ago, but like, these are lofty goals. And I understand they're lofty goals, which is the most Micah thing ever.
I love it.
By next summer. So we'll call it by June next year.
Yeah, a year. 11 months.
I'd like to be a scratch golfer, and I'd like to be 1,000 rated again in disc golf, which would be pro.
I don't know what scratch golfer
means.
I hear people say that.
It's like it's a handicap system. Doesn't mean I shoot par every time, but like I would be, my handicap would be scratch, which means par.
Okay, gotcha.
Both very lofty goals. They are attainable. I'll say that. Nobody believes me, but like you don't know me. Like
they're completely attainable.
I don't really want to bring myself up in this conversation because I feel like I'm probably more driven than most people. So it looks like I don't want anyone to ever take that as an example.
Except for value system.
The value system, 100%. Because
if somebody else has a similar value system, it's to your point, it's the value system that drives you. What you mean, I think, is they're not necessarily going to be driven in the same things that you're driven in. But that's not the conversation we're really having,
I think I'm probably, okay, that's actually fair. Maybe what I'm saying is like, I am very shrewd and creative in accomplishing my goals. Like when I set a goal, you can't really throw me off of my goal.
I also think this though. I think that part of the reason that that's true for you, because you've had goals that have changed and value systems that have changed through the years, but you've also had goals that you've attained. And I do think that the more goals that we attain, the easier it becomes to attain the next goal.
No, that's a fair point.
So if someone is starting from a place of stagnation and they've never set goals and they've never moved towards them, it might not be that their value system isn't correct. It might just be that they don't know how to make those steps.
You need to start smaller.
Yeah.
No, that's a fantastic point. Like, let's talk about it spiritually for a second. Like if someone hangs around you and they're like, man, I'd love to know the Bible like Ryan knows the Bible. You don't start by trying to read the Bible 25 times a year.
Yeah.
You know,
dude, that'd be awesome.
I'm trying to be extreme here.
Yeah.
Right. You might start by saying not even once through the year. Like you might start by making an attainable goal of saying something like, I'm just going to read the Bible every day. You know what I mean? Like something,
however long it takes me to get through it.
Again, this is the debate. I don't want people to get caught up in the debate. These are debatable things in terms of like wisdom of how to accomplish it.
Absolutely.
I think it's a fantastic point. Start small. My father-in-law, Cammie's dad, he's been lifting a lot. He's 71 now, but
That's awesome.
He in his early 60s had a record, a world record for powerlifting at his age.
That's cool.
It got broken. But like he's
now what? That's so cool.
Now he was they were visiting a few weeks ago and he went and lifted at 1440 and then he got back and had his like binder out with this program he's doing because he's trying to, I think it's in October, set another world record for his age group. So he's having to work up to that. And for him to do that, I think he has to lift, I think it's 375 or something like that. Yeah, bench sorry. Yeah, bench 375. So he has a program built that if he follows the program, he will be over 400 by that. Right. So
amazing.
It's the program, right? So I don't lift.
No,
I need to start lifting, but like I don't jump in and go to his level of the program.
Yeah,
I would literally break myself. Right. Yeah. But I think that's what people do. They're like, I love the idea. I want to lift 400. So I'm going to bench 400 someday. So you don't start by doing the program where my father-in-law is. You start
400 on the bar, then drop it on yourself and you're dead. Well, to that point, I had somebody challenge me in February to start lifting weights again because I did a lot of HIIT type workouts and jiu-jitsu and running, and they said you need to start lifting again just to build that strength that you want for those other things. So I started. Well, my shoulder hurts me frequently, and so when I went to bench press, there's some things you can do to keep that from injuring your shoulder.
Yeah.
So I started off and I was benching 90 pounds at first. And I would do these sets where I had like several different chest and tricep exercises. I'd do three of them, then 6, then 9, then 12, then 15. Well, over the last couple of months, I've moved from 90 pounds to 130 pounds and able to do the full workout with that. And so over vacation, and it's not impressive. This is not braggadocious. This isn't anything impressive. But over vacation, the boys and I went to the gym in one of the resorts, and we each got our max on bench press. And I was able to do a 175 max. And then I'm telling a friend of mine about that, and he goes, yeah, cool. He goes, I'm hoping to get back to 460. And I'm like, oh, crap.
On bench?
And he sends me a video of himself doing 460. And I'm
What
like,
the heck?
I know. And I was like, yeah, that makes me feel stupid, you know? But here's the thing. I'm not him.
Right.
And I'm starting from basically zero.
Okay. That's a phenomenal point. Comparison kills.
It does.
Absolutely.
And so for me to be successful by the end of the year, my goal is to get to the end of the year and be able to do 175 for reps instead of 175 as a max. But realistically, if it takes me a year to get there, I don't care because I'm moving that direction.
Yeah.
I will never get to 460. For one, I won't because it's not my goal. Like, I don't have that as a goal. It's
Gotcha.
not an ambition of mine. My ambition is to be fit. And there comes a point when, for me, I think it would be lifting too much and I would be risking too many injuries.
It's not in the value system for you.
Mhm.
Well, and he and I have completely different body types. Like, it's just probably not, I would break in half, I think.
Yeah.
You know, it might be possible, but I would have to change my diet. I would have to change 100 different things.
No, it's possible. I know how to do it.
Yeah.
We'll be in a situation where, because we're just talking about a max, right?
Right.
Where I come up behind you and like pretend like there's a scary bear or something. And you got to lift your kids out of the car, and you like, I could see you like picking the whole car up.
Yeah,
and
right.
And I'll be like,
Yeah.
okay, yep. See,
But
that's way more than 460. Right?
to your point, comparison kills. I'm not trying to be my buddy.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, and he, to his credit, was like, dude, that's amazing. You hit your PR. Great. Keep working it. I'm so proud of you.
Cool.
Right. And so, but his value system and my value system are both, we want to be fit.
Yeah.
And how that practically looks is different,
Mhm.
but we're both moving towards our
Yeah.
goals.
And I think sometimes people think that in the conversation practically here, taking care of your body means that you're fit.
Right.
And I don't think that's always the case.
No.
Well, now maybe talk to Kyle Peck. He might give you a better description of the word fit. What I mean is like what most people mean, I think, when they say fit is like in shape.
Mhm.
Sure.
And I don't think always taking care of your body means that you are that way. You know what
Well,
I mean? Like,
I mean, let's be honest. For some people, what they need to do right now to take care of their body is go to bed,
Mhm.
take a
yeah, sleep
nap,
more.
you know, like let your body rest.
Mhm.
Like there are so many people, especially in the West, who feel like the more they do, the busier they are, that the better they are.
Mhm.
Right.
And you're running your body into the ground.
Right.
Like take a freaking nap.
Which is funny because it still eats your muscle. And I'm about to give the example, but it's the opposite of the atrophy.
Mhm.
Well, I don't know if it's still atrophy, but like I remember Cammie and I joined Gold's Gym right after we got married,
Mhm.
started working out, and we didn't get to meet with a trainer for like 2 weeks.
Mhm.
And I mean, we'd lifted some in high school, I lifted some in college, but it's like I never liked. I still don't like lifting. So I just, when we go to the gym, Cammie would be lifting because she loved lifting growing up, and her dad obviously.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I'm like, I'd get on the treadmill and run for like the entire hour and a half as she was
Yeah,
in the gym.
'cause you were a
So I
soccer
was
player.
like, what am I-
You
So-
used to run forever.
we meet with the trainer, and she's like, well, what have you guys been doing? And I'm like, I just get on the treadmill and run as hard as I can for like an hour and a half. And she's like, what? And I'm
Yeah.
like, she was like, you're eating your muscle. I was like, oh, I had no idea, but I guess that's the
Yeah.
thing. Like when I'm pushing my body too far,
Sure.
then it starts eating the muscle faster, is what she said. I don't know anything about this, Kyle, so you can tell me later. But like that's what. So to your point, exact opposite though is like you can sit on the couch and do nothing, not good, or you can overwork,
Not good.
right?
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. And so knowing when to tap out, knowing when to rest,
Mhm.
knowing when to like, even if you're
still
be-
informed by the value system.
right, even if you're
Mhm.
being responsible with your money, knowing when to go have that steak dinner with your wife
Yes.
or go,
or the vacation
yeah,
time. So like a lot of people I think will say, we can't afford as a family to take a vacation. That's not true. You can't afford to take the vacation you want to take.
yeah,
But you could take a vacation. You could borrow some camping gear from somebody and not spend a dime
yeah,
and pay for gas. You could have someone else give you food, and you could just go camping for a night. So you know what I'm saying? Like
yeah, for
there's
sure.
things you can do. If the value system is I want to spend this time with my family,
Yeah,
it's possible for you to do it even if you're in a really bad spot financially.
Yeah.
But what most people do is they go, well, I'll just spend the money anyways because we really want to do this thing. And you make an unwise decision. And I would tell you, I don't think the value system is what you're saying it is.
Yeah. I think
if you're doing that.
Right.
I think a lot of people, and I'm admitting this, it is easy at the end of the day when my day has started at 4:30 in the morning and I've gone through the whole day. It is easy for me at the end of the day to just take an hour and a half and scroll like funny reels or whatever. Sometimes that's what I need to do. Sometimes I need to. I have 3 books I'm reading right now, and somebody the other day said, "Man, you must read all the time." I'm like, not as much as you think. I get through. Outside of the scripture, I get through about 10 to 15 books a year.
So lazy, dude.
I know. But if you consider that the Bible is 750,000 words, and so reading the Bible is like reading between 10 and 15 books.
Jim.
So that ups my number, right? A little bit. And so, but some nights I need to read for 30 minutes. That I need to watch this video that somebody sent me on something happening around the world. Like I can take 10 minutes to educate myself. Sometimes I need to just go through my Greek flashcards. It'll take me 30 minutes tops to go through my Greek flashcards. And what's crazy is if I choose to not put in any time. So I haven't put in any time on my Greek study in 6 months. I spent a year, which is the most I've ever gone consecutively in my Greek studies. And it has just, to your point, Micah, not been my priority this year. It hasn't been the thing that I'm like, hey, this is my value system. I would like to learn it at some point. Clearly right now, I don't want to learn it enough to make it my goal. But when I picked up my flashcards the other day and started going through them, I had retained some of it.
You remembered some of it.
But I had lost some of it. That's the atrophy we're talking about.
Do you feel like you're not saying you feel like that's a bad thing. You feel like your priorities just shifted where that kind of got in the back burner.
Right now it's having to be in the back.
Because I'd be curious to know, from you.
And again, not bad, but still losing some of that I have had gained over the course of a year of study.
From y'all's thoughts, when is it one of those things where it's like my priorities shifted versus like I just got apathetic? I'm not accusing you about that.
No, I hear you.
It just sparked that thought.
So I'm going to put people who are depressed in a separate category.
Okay.
Because I think when you're depressed, there is something in your mind that makes you feel like everything is so hopeless. My experience was for those 10 years, I just almost froze. I couldn't move forward in any area of my life. So if you're depressed and you're listening to this, you're like, man, my whole life is marked by apathy right now. We're not worried about the apathy. We're worried right now about you understanding your identity in Christ and being healed from that depression. And then we can talk about the other stuff later. You don't have the bandwidth right now to move forward until you recognize who your identity is in Jesus.
Right.
Okay. So that aside, if me, who isn't walking in my depression anymore, for example, on our vacation, I didn't take any study books with me on vacation. I didn't, I have several seminary type books that I'm reading right now. I didn't take my Greek flashcards with me on vacation. That was a conscious choice and was not apathy. Does that make sense? Yep. There are days that my body is. So I like this quote, and this is not a spiritual quote, and I understand that, and there's holes in it. I understand that. But I saw a quote by a personal trainer, and he was saying, people will say to me, man, I wish I was motivated like you're motivated. And he goes, no, I'm not always motivated. He goes, I'm always disciplined. There's a difference. I don't always want to do the thing I'm doing in that moment. The difference is I know that it's necessary for me to get where I want to go. So I do it. And I think that some people are sitting around waiting for motivation to strike, waiting for, I'm just not motivated to do that. Well, I'm not motivated to always be fiscally responsible, but
I think these are actually two different conversations.
Okay.
Of the motivation. So here's what I mean. I think the trainer was motivated. Not where I think it splits is he was motivated in his goal, but not motivated in the discipline.
In his emotion.
No, not motivated in the disciplines that it took to get there. Right. So he's motivated I'm assuming he means a fitness goal, right? His motivation is unchanging there. He's not apathetic. What he's saying is sometimes the things I have to do to get to that goal are not things I always want to do.
Correct.
I don't have,
but he does them anyway.
I don't have motivation in those things.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's a different conversation than having motivation in the goal.
Oh, yeah.
See what I'm saying?
I like it.
I don't think people are able to separate that. So they're like,
You're
I
right.
feel a little bit apathetic in this, like in the disciplines that I'm trying to accomplish, but that doesn't mean you're apathetic in the goal.
Yes, which is why he does the thing anyway.
Because I don't think you do that. I don't think you're disciplined without the motivation in the goal. Sorry.
No, I'm with you. So, no, I like that. So let me reframe it and see if I'm saying it correctly. So you're not always going to have the want to in this moment, but if the goal, what did you call it? The value system is set properly, then how you feel in the moment will not deter you from moving
even if
forward.
you don't like the actions in the moment.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think through it. I think it could probably apply to pretty much every situation I can think of right now. I've been thinking through it applies. It works.
Sure.
Right.
No, I agree with you. There are times that I just don't want to do anything right now. My brain's exhausted. But I know to accomplish the thing I want to accomplish, I have to do this thing in this moment,
Right.
whatever that is. And here's what's crazy about it. Every single time I've followed through, I've been excited because I know it moves me towards my goal.
Right.
You know what I mean? I don't get to the end of the thing and be like, oh, that sucked. I get to the end of the thing, I'm like, sweet.
Yeah.
I always feel better about myself that I actually accomplished the thing that I didn't want to do an hour ago.
Right.
Whether it's physicality or mental exercise or spiritual discipline, I always feel better.
I think to your point a second ago, people think motivation has to always be fun. Sorry, in the disciplines. Let me just take motivation out. People think that the disciplines have to always be fun. Like that's what they think. I'm not actually motivated in the disciplines if it's not fun. Like if I'm not enjoying this, that means that there's something wrong. And I don't think that's, to your point, that's not the case.
No.
I never enjoyed running in soccer. What I mean is like, there was never a point where I was like, oh my gosh, this is so much fun. The game, I loved the game.
Yeah.
I was going to win every single game. And because of that, I'm running. I remember times thinking like, I just ran all the way down the field to play defense. And then we cleared the ball, and I have to sprint from one side of the field to the other, which is bigger than a football field.
Yeah.
To get the ball and try to score. And then doing that multiple times, I remember thinking like, how many more times can I do this?
Yeah.
But I kept going because, right? It wasn't like I was like, yay! I get to, that's what I think people are thinking. Like, oh, I have to enjoy every aspect of this.
Yeah.
No, it's the goal that you're shooting for.
Well, this is a dumb example, but just to put it in a different light. There was a period in my early 20s that I worked for a Sunday school teacher who had a landscape company. And most of what we did in the spring was mowing and pulling weeds, which I hated every bit of it. It was just a paycheck for me. But in the fall, after the first freeze up in Lubbock, we would trim trees. And I loved being in a tree. I could be in a tree for 8 or 10 hours a day, trim all the branches, because when I got done and we had loaded all the stuff, that was art. When we loaded all the branches on the trailer and I could step back and look at the tree, it was visually beautiful. And we had several commercial properties, but we had this one commercial property that was just down the street from my apartment. And so every time I left my apartment, I pulled down this road, and it was a commercial property. So they had lights in the trees. And every night I would drive past there and be like, I did that. Like I spent 3 days in all these trees on this property and look at it. And for me, like I had somebody ask me, like the Odoms for years would ask me to come trim their trees. Like when we still weren't making very much money, they'd be like, you want to come trim our trees? I was like, heck yeah, I do.
Because you like it.
Because I love it. And it never felt like work for me. Like it was all because of.
And I think there are things in life like that. In fact, I would say, I think it's important to find things in life like that
you enjoy all the time.
Because if you feel like the entirety of your life is a drain, even if you're like, I'm being really disciplined in this, I don't think it's not beneficial.
So I gave my boys this kind of challenge the other day with Asher graduating in a year. And I just said, look, if you don't know what you want to do yet, cool. I didn't know what I wanted to do until I was closer to 21 or 22, but you'll figure it out. And I said, here's what I don't want you to do. I don't want you to never think about it. I don't want you to never pray about it. And I said, because I know adult men who say, oh yeah, I hate my job, but I need a job. So I know adult men that are working where they have to work.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
They have to work and they're doing the job they're capable of doing, but it's a job they hate.
Yeah.
But they didn't give themselves any other options. Now, some people, it's like, chronic disease or an injury. Some people, circumstances have put them in a place that they didn't.
I'm not sure most people love their job.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but there are some people who hate it so much, but they just do it because they must.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
And
They put themselves in a situation
Yeah.
where
and so if you can make plans to have a different kind of job, I think you can enjoy your work.
yes.
And so like part of that too is your planning ahead of time.
Yes. Which I think is part of the process. Like
Mhm.
now you're getting into I would tell someone too, I think like I don't think you actually care about your job because you're not putting any effort into like even thinking about it.
Mm-hmm.
I think maybe culturally we've come to a place where everybody expects things to be just done for them or given to them.
Mm-hmm.
As an
Agreed.
example, like the amount of money people spend on sports betting in the lottery.
Mm-hmm.
If you just took it, like someone should just take like the last 5 years and figure out how much you've spent on those things. And you should do a investment calculator and see how much you would have made if you just invested that in like a super safe like index fund or mutual fund or something like that. That's what I mean is like the reason you're doing that is because, okay, maybe the sports betting aside, because that's kind of like betting on a horse at a horse race. Like that's
fun.
like there's some aspect of it to it that's like a rush, right?
Sure.
So, but people are like, I wanna get this money now.
Yeah. Instant gratification.
Yeah. So I think there's an aspect of that too. It's like, well, I heard this, I think a few years ago that like the expectation of, this must have been a few years ago, the expectation of millennials coming out of college is that they would be CEOs within like 9 months.
Yeah. It's crazy.
Like that. But where does that come from?
Mhm.
It comes from that cultural perspective that it's just given to you without the work that needs to be put into it. Or like someone comes to you and says like, I just want to know the Bible like you.
Mm-hmm.
Like the amount of hours I've seen you put into your understanding of the scripture, like that can't be negated.
You're not going to get that in a year.
No.
Well, and I agree that I don't think that people are going to enjoy every day at work, but like Seth is studying engineering, right? Everybody told me to go to school and study engineering because I was good at math. So I went to Texas Tech to study engineering. One semester in, I thought, I cannot do this for the rest of my life. I would be bored to tears. Like I was just like, I could not bring myself to do this for the rest of my life. I knew really quickly. I didn't know what I wanted to do, but I knew that I could not do that, And so I pivoted and made some plans, and I was going to study art. And then people said, well, you can't make a living as an artist, so you should study design. So I studied design, and then I hated that. And I was like, golly, and I did that for a year and a half. But
then they invented the computer.
You're joking, I know. But my class that started the design program, we were the last class that was taught things by hand. The year after us, they got computers, but because we had started by hand, we kept being trained by hand. And so all the designers behind us were graphic designers and learning all these programs, which we didn't get. And so like literally that happened at Texas Tech the year after I started
75?
the program. Yeah. But like
It's okay. Even as an artist, like you're not able to paint like you paint today because you just decided you were going to start painting.
No,
it's a lot of effort put into it.
829 paintings that I've done, like large scale paintings.
Yeah. And like before that learning as well. So like
years and years of drawing and different things. Well, and to that point, last year, 2025, I painted 22 pieces total and sold $35,000 worth of art, which isn't a bad year. But I decided this year, like, I need to be more deliberate with my time in the studio. I just need to get in there. I need to work. Because
you put some disciplines in place that help you fulfill the motivation of your value system.
Absolutely. So this year, I've already painted 18 pieces in 6 months instead of 22 pieces in a year. And my goal is to sell 80% of my work this year instead of 66% of my work like I did last year. And so I am taking the steps necessary to move myself that way, even if I'm not successful at it, to move the needle, so to speak.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Last thing, I know we're almost done. I think that I was thinking about all this stuff we're talking about from a spiritual perspective now.
Yeah.
I think it's a similar expectation for people. They want to grow spiritually. They want to be husbands and wives and parents that reflect Jesus better in their home. They want to be someone who does a better job at their workplace and their career representing Jesus, which I think is what they're expressing is the value system.
Right.
I think a lot of people probably are, based on the stuff that we're talking about, to your point, Ryan, with that being the value system, are like expecting that just to happen without the effort, which is what you were trying to say at the beginning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let me ask one question and then finish us out. This goes back to you saying, and I was trying to explain, and Micah, you said it better, but like starting small. Most of the people you see, and we're a social media age now, most of the people you see that you go, oh man, I want to know the Bible like them. Oh, I want to be fit like them. Oh, I want to handle my finances like them, are the people who are already at the top of the game. And you're looking at these people and you're looking at the top of the mountain and going, I want to be there, and forgetting that you have to start at the trailhead.
Yeah.
So you get frustrated when you're not where they are. And so look at the people who are at the top of the mountain in their respective fields, but realize they didn't start there and go, oh man, look at what they did. I want to start that journey, rather than thinking I need to be where they are.
Start the journey.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the better way to go.
Because I think a lot of people bail out, to your point, because it didn't happen easily for them.
Yeah.
Just start the journey. That's a great way to say it.
Yeah. So how would you say simpler view, Micah?
We don't have one.
Oh, duh, yeah, Fifth Tuesday. Don't even do it. But I think
for the structure, if we're going to talk about a structure, it has to start with the value system. I think that's
Absolutely.
important to point out, because I think a lot of people jump straight to the disciplines without the value system.
No, that's an excellent point.
Yeah, and then there's like a understanding that we, through applying that value system, managing expectations appropriately within that, right? And knowing that there is a process, and part of the value system and part of the goals that we have is also acknowledging that this isn't something that we can immediately ascertain or immediately be at that level of maturity or that level of knowledge, that level of skill, but realizing that overall value system and goal is now feeding into the motivation to push on, to keep going, to engage in the process, right? Yeah, I think that's part of the conversation a lot of people need to have, especially in views of Christianity, because there's so many people who it's like they haven't stepped foot in a church or been around Christians in years, and then they go to the 456, like, I want to know the Bible like Ryan, and then are immediately disappointed when they spend a week reading the Bible. they can't, and they're not having the same conversations or having the same thoughts or whatever, right? But that was a conversation you and I had 12 years ago, and I think at the time it was like I didn't have the language for it, but I think I had said something to you kind of off, like, yeah, well, I think I said I don't know as much, but it was me beating myself up, as opposed to just acknowledging the fact of I don't know as much. And you paused and you were like, hey, we're going to have conversations like this. But you need to know something. Like, I've been walking in the Bible for 15 years longer than you have. Like, and that's okay. And you were like, and honestly, where you are right now is different than where I was when you were.
For sure.
Like,
it was.
And so he was like, but you stressed like not making it a comparison thing, because there's going to be people that are further ahead, people that are further behind, but where are we now? And how can we be intentional with the time we have now? And that was our specific conversation was about preaching. And we were talking a lot about like preaching what you know and like being intentional with what you know. So same thing with just as we're walking as believers, if you're in ministry or not, like be intentional with where you are.
Yeah.
Acknowledge rightly where you are and let the value system fuel your motivation as you push forward in that, and realize it's a process, and strip away comparison, right? Like comparison will kill it.
It does. It kills the motivation. I think it kills the desire to move forward.
Well, what's the saying is comparison is the thief of joy.
Well, and we talked about this very briefly a few weeks ago, Micah, but like as believers, like we're freed from that. Like we don't need to engage in our understanding of who we are in Christ is rooted in Christ. Our understanding of the life that we now live is empowered by the Holy Spirit, and we lean into that and we walk in that and we press into that. We're not having to compare ourselves to others to find any sort of gain or find any sort of value or find any sort of, or maintain any sort of self-preservation of a reputation that we can ascertain here on earth. But like, no, all of my value and trust is in Christ, which is what we're saying with this podcast.
What you mean is we don't have to do that anymore.
Yeah, exactly. We don't have to.
I don't think most people believe that.
No.
I think that when they hear you say you've been freed from that, they think it's well, it is. This is what it is. It's the elephant who, have you seen how they train the elephants to be in the circus? Is they tie them to a tree at first, I think, or something like that, where like they can't get away and they fight. And then at some point they do it for so long that their spirit's broken, where you see them at the circus, they're just tied to a folding chair. But in their minds,
I'm tied to the tree.
So you've been freed from you could run away.
Right.
It's been taken away.
Yeah.
But I don't think you're like the elephant. You don't actually believe it. Yeah, you're still convinced that you are in slavery.
Right.
That you have to compare yourself to other people instead of just being content that you are in Christ.
Exactly. Yeah.
So I think a lot of people misconstrue that when you say that too, because you've said that almost every time you preach, which I love and appreciate, is that you're freed from those things. I think when people hear that, they're like, in their mind, they're like, no, I'm not.
Yeah, because they're so convinced. Yeah, because they don't really believe that. And it goes back to trusting Christ and what he's done and what that means about who we are. And that's that definition of who Christ is and what he's done for us and the life that we now are empowered to live in him. That's the basis of the value system that we're talking about.
And you would probably say, like, let me help change your perspective. And I would be like, you're an idiot.
That's right.
You arrogant prick. You think you're more powerful than the blood of Jesus.
Yeah. Like my buddy said, I don't know if they'd like that.
They wouldn't like it.
Well, hey, everybody, thank you for joining us on this Fifth Tuesday. Thank you for being a part of the conversation. It'd be so funny if people listening in think that like when I switch that tone, if I'm just talking to you guys like, hey, everybody. But yeah, for those of you listening and watching and everybody who's not, thank you for being a part of it. And these are conversations that either are sparked up in our minds or topics that get popped up because of what's happening in culture.
Usually what people ask us.
But yeah, a lot of these conversations are ones that get sent in. So while there might be some of them that come from just our lives, most of these are people that send in and we go, oh, we haven't really talked about that. Let's do that on the Fifth Tuesday. So these are the types of episodes. So if you have sent something in the past and we haven't discussed it, it's potentially remind us, or it could potentially be in a list to get on here. So we would love to add those topics, add whatever you would like to discuss to those lists to be scheduled to be discussed. So shoot us a message at simplerpod on Instagram or wherever you're listening to this. You can leave reviews, you can leave comments. The radio. Yeah.
Tune in next week.
But the tagged there, but that threw me off. Tagged below. You'll find Simpler Bible. You'll find the 456. You'll find
our radio station,
Micah's website. You'll find all of our frequency codes and all of those things tagged down there below. Take advantage of those. Simpler Bible. If you're thinking to yourself that, man, I didn't start it in January, I got to wait till next year. No, just jump right in. There's ways to utilize the resource that fits your schedule, that fits your routine. So it's a resource that's out there to use in your as you strive to know the Bible better, to get to know and enjoy the Lord, and utilize that as a means of doing so. So a huge shout out to Stephen as well. We so thankful for the garden audio. And hey, as always, keep Christ as core. What could be simpler than that? We'll see y'all in July.
Bye.